Just one injury update. Andre Roberts has a quad and will not practice today, so we'll be day-to-day at this point. And we'll open it up from there.
Sean, Andre's addition, and does that mean Tyler Croft is practicing in full today?
No, in addition to Tyler being out still, it's Andre.
Who's if Andre can't go, who steps into that return role at this point?
Yeah, we'll just see. We've got guys that can do it back there, so we'll just see how today goes.
So as you head into this, John, we talked about it sort of on Monday that it's a new coach there with several new players. So can you get much of a read? You've seen Adam in Miami. Can you get much of a read what he's doing with Darnold right now in that offense? Plus
yeah, it's
Love
really
Bell?
hard. I mean, like I said, that you watch one tape, you watch another tape. They got a lot of good players that they brought in. Le'Veon, they already had good players. With the player that they had there with Adams and Williams and drafting Quinn in there. So a lot of good players, and so it's an important week in terms of our preparation and the challenge in front of us.
Do you pay much attention to or even care that in this division, 3 of the quarterbacks that were taken in the first round last year are going to be going, well, Rosen at some point maybe, but with Sam and Josh, it's like this immediate in the division twice a year, these 2 kids who were linked throughout the whole offseason, trained together. Do you pay attention to that or see the fun in that little storyline?
Yeah, I think Sam's a good player. I do, and I got to know him. We got to know him a little bit going through the process as we did preparing for the draft. Class act, does things the right way. A lot of respect for him. And I know that Josh and Sam have a relationship, which obviously, to your point, goes back. Outside of that, I don't get into that too much. Really.
Sean, when Devin Singletary, you saw him through the preseason and through practices, but when you saw the film of him in that season opener against the Colts and the way he didn't go down after the first hit and the way he ran against between the tackles, what were your impressions of him at that point when you saw him in a competitive setting?
I would say much like we saw as we went through the process for the draft. Some of what he did in college, he's been able to do at our level. I mean, look, it's early, right? So limited sample. The thing I love the most is he's very conscientious day to day. He's a pro in a rookie's body, just in terms of his approach to the game, his daily approach to what we do, how we do things. He's accountable. He's on time. Just some of the intangibles that have stood out to me off the field in just a short amount of time.
And when it comes to Devin, well, the one thing that Brandon said this past weekend was his pass catching ability, something you didn't get to see a lot at the college level. What were your thoughts, impressions on what he was able to do in those situations?
They did a good job. I mean, to Brandon's point, and I know Devin mentioned it as well. You didn't see that. We weren't exposed to that. A lot of us, weren't exposed to that just because he wasn't asked to do it or it didn't get called maybe, and that happens. So we wanted to make sure we sent Kelly Skipper down there with some of our personnel department to look at that, making sure he had that, and we felt confident about that.
So you talked about continuity and the challenge that it presented. You look at kind of the off-season and preseason and the big picture. And now that you've arrived at this point, obviously injuries are a factor. How prepared do you feel this team is, and how prepared do you feel given that perspective heading into week 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't feel like that we are prepared as we need to be right now because it's a Wednesday, right? But we've got a couple of days ahead of us yet of good solid work, and I'm confident that we'll be prepared as we need to be, and it's a really good opponent with weapons, and so if you're going to go against a really good opponent with weapons, you've got to be prepared.
We've seen Cody Ford at tackle and guard all preseason. Where have you started to kind of zero in on where you're going to want him on Sunday?
Yeah, I think we're just looking at it right now, and you'll see 5 guys out there, and he's worked both, which is good, and we're going to move him around, and we're going to continue to move guys around, and hopefully get it set. But versatility up front is important too, position flexibility, however you want to say it, Josh. It's, I think we've built some of that through the preseason, as I mentioned, and, getting those guys, building the continuity now is also important. So the important thing is these guys understand their roles, whether it's playing guard in this case for Cody or playing tackle. And so that's, I think the best football of the group is ahead of them, but we've got to continue to build it.
What's your some sense of, it's a couple days away from the first game though, and there's some sense of, we gotta figure this out?
Yeah, I think we've got it figured out, and so we're just gonna continue to shape the plan as we go forward, but we've got a well laid out plan at this point, in terms of what today will look like, what tomorrow will look like, and then we'll go from there.
What's your degree of faith that this group, which has, again, as you said, mix and match and has had to overcome the adversity and all that, that as you approach now days away from the first game that counts, is ready in the sense of what a line has to be, the continuity, the communication? What's your level of confidence with that?
No, I'm confident in the group. I really am. I mean, I'm confident in the people we have, and whether that's the offensive line or the other group, position groups, that we've got guys that can get the job done. And whether they play guard, the person we're talking about plays tackle, center, they've shown that they can do that. They're a resilient group, and yet I know that they understand the challenge ahead of them. It's a talented defense. It's a talented defensive line with a great defensive coordinator, and so they understand the challenge that we face.
Hey, Sean, in terms of that communication, this is a team that, at least we think, is going to be a heavy blitzing team. Given that your guys haven't had that continuity on the offensive line, is that more of a particular problem to face a team that's going to blitz you from all angles, most likely?
Well, you have to be ready to communicate. You've got to be ready to adjust. As I said, Greg's got a long history of that, and so he's a really good coach, really good coordinator, and you guys know he was here, so he does a lot of things. He puts a lot of pressure on the offense, and likes to get after quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. So we're aware of that.
Sean, do you think this fan come through his first day of practice, and are you hopeful he's going to be able to get it going Sunday?
Yeah, he looks like he took a step in the right direction. We'll see a little bit more today with a little bit of a longer practice.
Hey, Sean, say you got into a game, and you have to win throwing the ball. Maybe you got to throw it 40 times or whatever it might be, 50 times. How confident are you that Josh Allen is at that stage where you could rely on him that much? Do you think he's ready to carry a team like that?
Yeah, we're going to do whatever it takes to win the game. If it means running it 40 times, if it means throwing it 40 times, we've got to do some things on the defensive side too to help, and special teams. So what I believe in is whatever it takes to win, and playing good team football, and all three phases contributing, in terms of the overall team and what they bring to the table.
When you hear, sorry, just to follow, when you hear the NFL is a passing league and you got to pass the ball, what's your interpretation of that? Do you still believe that there's still sound football philosophies that still apply, even though teams that win have great passing games, no doubt? But do you still believe in some philosophies that hold true regardless?
To throw in the football?
Yeah, I mean,
listen, I believe even as a defensive coach, I think there's probably a lot of defensive coaches out there that want to believe in one philosophy, and I believe in trying to win games however you need to win them. And that's what we're here to do, is to win games. And so, but I also believe in sound fundamentals. That to me is a big part of winning football.
John, when it comes to getting ready for a week one team with new coordinators, new systems, how much do you gain by looking where they were last year? Are you watching a lot of Miami offensive film, a lot of Cleveland defensive film this week?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the challenge is, looking at the layers of film in terms of the history of the coaches and some of the players as well. Yeah.
Sean, given some of the injuries you had through training camp, preseason, for you to be as relatively healthy as it seemed now, how much of that can be attributed to what the changes you made here, the facility and those kinds of things, with everybody being able to kind of work in those new technological things.
Yeah, hopefully that's all baked into that. I mean, with the new facility, our medical staff, shaping practices the right way, using sports science baked into that as well, and then at the end of the day, my gut instinct on some things, and just in terms of the communication we have with the staff, I think it's open dialogue and it's a collaborative effort, which is, I believe, the right way to do it.
Hey, Sean, is Matt Milano coming off that broken leg last year? Looks like he's good to go. It seems like it. Do you feel he's a player that this year could ascend, could take that next step up? Because he was playing pretty well when he got hurt last year.
Yeah, we'll see. I believe he's had a good spring, and that's a credit to him and our medical staff in terms of getting healthy, number one, and the time he spent here in the off season to get himself ready to go, and he seems to have an even better feel this year for, you know, systematically what we're trying to get done defensively, Sal, in this case, and so, you know, I think that the continuity again on the defensive side, and then him playing with Matt playing in this case with Tremaine another year has certainly helped.
How eager are you to see the offense, given all the new parts that are there, to at least establish a baseline, to open the season?
I didn't hear the first part.
How eager are you to see, the offense establish a baseline?
Yeah, I mean, I think he needed to establish the line of scrimmage in the game, and you know, I think, again, developing an identity is probably the better way in my mind, I would say it. Just, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're going to be about, this is how we're going to adjust, this is how we're going to handle adversity. There's going to be adverse times, especially when you go on the road and in a tough environment, and a loud environment. So, you know, I think that's probably the bigger thing, is just the overall picture of what we look like as a team and then offensively.
Sean, on the flip side, will you be disappointed if you're not at least better than 18th in points allowed this year?
I'm just right now focused on taking it one game at a time. I understand where you're coming from.
I come all the way back to hear that answer.
It's good to see you, by the way.
I'm gonna take them
Next
one game at a
time I'm going to try and give you a better answer. All right. Go ahead, Kim, one more.
Thank you. Sean, I think you had the best passing defense in the league a year ago, but I'm curious if you've challenged your defensive secondary to maybe make more plays or to do anything more to dictate the action anymore.
Yeah, I would say, Kim, that just philosophically understand what we're about. Philosophically continue to double down on that, and then a concerted effort to make more plays on the ball in terms of taking the ball away. You know, so that's a growth mindset. That's a everyday type of approach. Good. All right, thanks.
Thank you.